What's up guys? Today we're going to mod the Rebel. We're going to finally remove the rear fender, and I think that's going to really make the bike look kind of trick, kind of sweet, add some stuff to it. So we're going to remove the whole fender, so it'll just be rear tire there we're looking at, and then seat, and I think that'll give it a real kind of like little custom look, and it's going to be awesome. So I'm going to take you guys through that whole process, what you're going to need. Everything will be in the links down below. So let's go ahead and get started at removing that ugly rear fender. So here's a look at some of the parts and things you're gonna be needing for this if you're not willing to cut your stock fenders up. So the issue is, once you take off the rear fender, the brackets that hold the seat on and the rectifier plate and things like that are all part of the arms that hold the rear fender on. So when you take all that off, unless you wanna cut those arms off with a hacksaw or something, you'll never be able to put your stock fender on. So if you ever wanted to like add the passenger seat back, you pretty much butchered those and you'll have to buy new OEM ones, which I imagine are pretty expensive. So this is a kit for a shorter rear fender, but I don't want the fender. I only bought the kit for the brackets here. You can remove the arms off these brackets, so it's just the bracket, and you can put that in, and then your seat and everything will be able to mount back up and hold on. So this whole kit was about 190, 180 bucks off eBay, but this is gonna let us remove the fender, put these brackets on, and then roll with no rear fender and still be able to mount the seat. And then to solve the issue of the blinkers and stuff, I got the X Arcs by High Tech Speed. These are gonna replace the turn signals in the back and the brake lights, because these are duos. It has red lights and amber for turn signals. So this is gonna replace both, and we'll find a nice spot for these. I already got an idea, but something low key that's gonna be not very visible. So we'll put these on to replace all the stock rear brake lights and turn signal and things like that. So first step you want to do is actually remove your seat, which I've already done here. You guys, there's 2 bolts in the back, the seat comes off. And then what I've also done is there's a battery cover plate right here that's secured by 2 little body push pins. Just remove those, pull that cover plate out so we got room, because we got to take these bolts off to get the arms removed. And we're going to also have to remove this plate portion. So we'll unscrew these, and then this right here is actually the connector for all the rear turn signals. So we can just actually go ahead and disconnect all these right now from this little harness here, because these are all going to come out. Go ahead and remove these 10mm bolts. This whole portion comes off, and then this is the rectifier plate and things like that. So you can see the armature. This is where the when you remove the rear fender, all this is going to come with it. So this seat portion would have nothing to bolt onto, so that's why we have to get those other brackets. Now that that's off, there is 3 more body push pins here to remove a little plastic connector, so we can go ahead and remove these to pull that off. And it looks like for these lower ones here, we are going to have to pop the battery out to be able to get our wrench in. So I'm just going to go ahead and quick undo the battery, pull that out, and we can pull those forward bolts out too. One more thing I didn't think about, this plastic battery box here, there is one more bolt on the outside here that actually holds it to the battery box. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. There's also the control arm that would hold your exhaust would be here. And I've already removed that because I got the Radiant GP exhaust. You can see the install video on that. So you would also have to remove this that holds your exhaust, stock exhaust on. If you have that on, or if you have an aftermarket that's using those same bolts, you would have to remove those outer bolts too. Or if you have the passenger foot pegs, you would have to remove those as well. Yeah, so these bolts for the passenger foot pegs on the other side, even if you don't have passenger foot pegs, they got to come out so it'll fit past the shock towers over there. So just take those out, and now all the bolts will be removed, so it should just slide right out. Now we can rip the rear fender here. Just comes right out. See how the bracket is all built into here, into the actual frame that holds the rear fender to basically support a second person's body weight. When you take this off, you lose all this portion here where you mount the spot to put your seat that holds your seat and everything. So without these brackets, you can't really do this. Otherwise, you could take these stock ones if you didn't care. You could just basically cut this whole portion off to remove the whole rear fender, and then maybe paint them or powder coat so you wouldn't have that raw metal. But cut this all off, and then you could use that to do the same mod, but there's no way to separate this portion because it's all part of the armature that holds the rear fender. So that's why you have to get these aftermarkets. And I contacted the company and asked if I could just buy the brackets because I didn't want the whole seat or rear fender portion, and they wouldn't sell me just the brackets. So I just bought the whole thing and figured if I didn't like the raw rear open tire, I could always throw that on and have a mini fender, or just figure something else out. But basically all I wanted was these brackets, and there's nowhere right now currently that sells just the brackets, so pretty much have to buy the kit just for the brackets, unless you want a chopper stock one. Now that that's out, we can basically slide the brackets in place, and hopefully China measurements are good, but this will screw into the stock locations, and then this will let us mount our seat back on, give our seat a place to rest now that we've removed that portion of it. So looks like the screw holes for this mount right up. I'm not going to permanently mount this quite yet because I want to check a thing for where I think my blinkers are going to end up going. My next kind of issue, guys, is where was I going to put the blinkers? There is this plastic fender piece here that sticks down, and that is like right here. So I was hoping, see, we have this piece that sticks out. This is where the arms would screw on for that other fender, but since I'm not going to put that on, I was hoping I could mount these arc X's right here, and it looks like they might actually, they're going to be too big to fit right here. I could put them inside, but I'm just worried they don't stick over the top of the fender there. So luckily, I mean, you could do that, but it would not be rear visible because the tire sticks up higher, and then when you're sitting on it and the tire shrinks down some, it'd be even lower. So nah, I don't think that's gonna work, but we can still use these, I think, to move these up here to a different location and then mount them like up here somewhere a little higher. That should give us the kind of look we want. Or we could even over here off the shock tree maybe, but I think right over here we could probably get them right up here. So what I ordered in fear of that happening and that might not be able to fit is these little armature extensions. I got them off Amazon. They're just like bobber blinker relocator kit. It's like $6, $7, just basically a piece of metal that'll move them out. So we should be able to mount the lights on that and then give them the upward clearance to move it up and away from that tire so they'll be visible from the rear. So I'm going to use those, and then we'll probably have to go to the hardware store, pick up some more bolts to make that all work, but it should work out perfectly for what we're trying to do here. Alright guys, so after a hardware store run there, we picked up some 6mm bolts and some Teflon nuts. This is basically how the blinkers are going to attach to these brackets, and then picked up some vacuum hose things, put that over the end to just kind of clean that up, shrink wrap the wire and ran it down, and then we're going to wire this into the stock connectors. But just kind of gives you an idea. Ran a zip tie through here just to keep the wire steady, and then these are the brackets I got off Amazon. So I'll put it in there so you guys can see how it's going to mount and sit on the bike, but just kind of had to freestyle a little bit to get everything to work the way we want it to. So there you guys go. You can see where I got it mounted now. Seems to fit pretty good. Clearance is good with the tire. I like compress the back as hard as I can with all my body weight, and the tire doesn't even come close to it, so we should be good on that. And even from a low angle, it sits above the tire, so people will be able to see it from the rear, but it's just real clean and off to the side, I think. So that's pretty much what I was going for. So we'll go ahead and get the other side completed and mounted up as well, and then we can throw the battery in and start to do the wiring and stuff. So I got the other side all set, ready to go in. We're gonna bolt it in. You can see on the top edge here, I did have to do just a little bit of filing to get it to fit right. China number one. Parts don't always fit perfectly, but just a little bit of filing, no time with the Dremel. Got that all set, so now we can put this bracket in, and then all we have to do is really wire them up. Got both of them wired in there, real low key. I think it looks pretty good. So now we gotta just put the battery back in, kind of reassemble, and then we'll start the wiring of them. I did just cut the stock harnesses off here. We can always resolder them if we decide to put the old fender back on, but that's not going to happen in the foreseeable future. So I just cut these off so that way we can solder them up to the new blinkers. We got everything pretty much back in. We're gonna test. The wiring's all kind of loosely done, not permanent, just to test. So I'm going to turn the bike on, see if we get we should get running lights, brake lights, and then blinkers. So looks like we got our running lights, brake lights, and then we should get blinker action. Nice. So that all works out nice in just one small package, kind of exactly what I wanted, guys. So as you can see, they're real bright. Blinkers plus turn signals all in one. I think that turned out pretty slick. Just real low profile, exactly kind of what I wanted. So now we just got to finalize the soldering. I know it's kind of a mess, guys, but I just wanted to show you what was going on here. The one with 3 wires coming off is for your brake light. So that has running lights, brake light, and then a ground on it. So you don't actually use the ground because we're going to use the ground from each blinker. So each blinker side only has a ground and then a blinker activator. So each one of the high-tech speed blinkers, you wire the ground to the turn signal ground, and then the blinker indicator to the indicator wire on the ArcX, and then you wire the running light and the brake light into the stoplight harness, which is the one with 3 wires. So it's pretty straightforward, but yeah, so we're just gonna solder this all up and then go ahead and close everything up, put the seat back on, and then we're pretty much done, except we gotta figure out a place to put the license plate, but we'll work on that when we get to it. Everything's soldered up now to the stock connectors that are removable. This extra ground wire, I just put a shrink wrap over the end of it, but later on when we add like a plate tail light, what you would do is tap into this brown wire and then ground it to this extra green wire, and then that would be for your plate lights. But right now we got the running lights from the new X-Arcs, and then blinkers and stop lights, so everything is in those one small lights. And now all we have to do is bolt this down, put the seat back on, and then we're all done, guys. That little plastic piece does fit back in there, but it kind of sags down, so I just kind of zip tied it up ghetto right now until I figure out something better. So you can see the zip tie running across here, just holding that plastic piece up just in case it falls, but it holds up and it keeps it all pretty clean back there. So there we go, guys, rear of the bike all cleaned up, got the high-tech speeds in there. The plates just kind of slapped on with some zip ties for the moment till we figure out what exactly we're going to do with that, but got the clearance, got the rear fender all off, everything's set up the way we wanted, just turned out pretty slick. Blinkers all work how we wanted, tail lights work how we wanted, so exactly what I was looking for, guys. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped you. If you were looking to remove the tail on your Rebel and how to do it, if you did like this, please leave a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.